Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rootless Podcast. This is our first episode, and in this episode, we're going to talk about why we are starting this podcast and who we are and how we got here. First of all, I want to apologize because English is not my first language, and if I make any mistake, so please forgive me. And we have our guest today, Ali, the only Ali ATH.
I'm not the guest.
Yeah, that was just a joke. Ali is one of the hosts in this podcast, and I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Ehsan, and that's my brother on the phone.
Yeah, as Ehsan said, we apologize for our accents because English is not our first language. And at least Ehsan lives in Canada, but I live in Germany for now. But yeah, our vocabulary is very limited. It is what it is.
I want to ask if living in Germany has helped you with learning English or speaking English.
Actually, it has a negative effect on my English because whenever I try to speak English, people usually they speak German.
Of course.
Such a shock. But those people who speak English, they don't speak English on a good level, you know? And you have to dumb your English down for them to understand what you're saying. Like, this is a book, I want to buy this. As an artist, you want to express yourself. You want to be able to express yourself in a manner that people know how you feel about something, not just be a robot. But as you know, Germany, it's all about optimization and discipline and just being done with everything on time. So they don't care about feelings like other countries. It's a stereotype, but it is real.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's kind of like me when I was staying in Pakistan, and it was the same. Like, I had to speak in that accent so that people could understand me. And sometimes that was really funny.
Yeah. Hello, sir. What are you doing this morning? Every time when I was in Pakistan, the manager in the hotel, they were like, "How are you, sir? How are you going to celebrate your Eid?"
I just remember
I like
that video in YouTube that they say that if you replace the T with D, it becomes like an Indian accent, but I feel like that applies to Pakistan.
That applies to Pakistan, yeah.
Pretty similar.
And I've noticed that so many Afghans also speak with that same accent.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No. Usually we know, me and you know a lot of people who speak in our accent, you know. Obviously mine is the worst one out of everyone we know, but out of our friends and people who we know, their accent is better. Not better, but more like American accent. But other friends that I have, they're like, "Oh my God, I think it is going to sink." Me and my friend, we were trying to rent a small, what do you call them? Small
Kayak?
Boats. Yeah, something like that. And he was talking to that German person. He was like, "Look, there is water. There is water there. It's going to sink."
Let's talk about Rootless. What is Rootless and why we want to start it?
First, let's talk about why we named the podcast Rootless, and then why are we doing this podcast and why in English. We could do it in here they say Persian, they don't say Dari, so let's say just Persian. But why we don't do it in Dari or Persian? We have social presence in our own culture or social person among our people. That's
Yeah.
a better way to say it.
Before that, I just want to mention that Persian and Dari, they're the same language, and they've always been. So the fact that some people think they're separate, it's just a mean of political issues in the past and stuff. But
Yeah.
about Rootless, I'm a Hazara myself. Ali is half Hazara. But he has always been amongst Hazaras. He has lived amongst us. And as Hazaras, we don't have a document, any source of documentation that could confirm that where we come from. And that's one of the reasons that we've been oppressed. And we've been oppressed through the years by other ethnicity groups in Afghanistan. I think that's one of the reasons that we named our podcast Rootless. And about what this podcast is about, Ali is gonna tell you about.
Yeah, but before saying what podcast is about, I want to point at the Rootless is not just about our ethnicity. It's also related to how we feel about our country, our even myself. I feel rootless even in my family because Ehsan knows how I am not in contact with my family, with my father, with my anyone in general, and we resonated with that word, which is, I think, an adjective. Yeah, but in these episodes that we're gonna publish, I think you will understand why we named it Rootless. And the podcast, every time I talk to people or Ehsan talks to people, we are asked that why did you leave your country, or how did you leave your country, or is it true that people do this in your country, or is it true that these are in your culture, or stuff like that. And usually there are a lot of misunderstandings around that, like to whoever you talk to and mention you're from Afghanistan, they think you're coming from a country that is 24 hours under bombing attacks or suicide attacks, which is in some ways true. Sorry, I'm my laughter is due to being kind of
I know.
dealing with the trauma. It's
It's
like
a
that.
way of
But
dealing with trauma.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and we just want to talk about how we lived in Afghanistan. I lived there for 18 years, and how I think you lived there almost all your life, right?
Yeah. I was, I don't know, like maybe 1 year old that we moved from Pakistan to Herat, yeah, and then I was there. But I spent like a year and a half of my life recently in Pakistan, so.
Okay, so I'm 20 years maybe,
Yeah.
or 8.
19,
20
18,
years,
19, yeah.
Yeah. And we just want to talk about that, our experience. Maybe it is interesting for people, maybe it is not, but at least for ourselves, when someone asks how was life in Afghanistan, we can just send them a link instead of
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in this episode, I think we're I don't know what Ehsan wants to talk about. Let's see what is on your schedule.
Yeah. As Ali said, Rootless is a podcast about stories from Afghanistan, how the people live in Afghanistan, and how is it really like living in a country that has been going through war for over 40 years. And in this episode, I would like to really like talk about the importance of this podcast and how we got out of Afghanistan. And in general, I want to talk about ourselves so that you could have a brief information about us. And
Okay. To be honest, we have so many things to talk about, but we are freestyling right now.
yeah,
We don't
you are.
have. Yeah. Let's talk about when Taliban took over. From the day Taliban took over to right now. Do you think it's a good idea? Can we do it in one episode?
I don't think so. Of course not. But I think we can talk about it very briefly and
Yeah.
talk about the reasons that why we did what we did, why we escaped from Afghanistan.
Yeah. I want to ask you this because when the Taliban took over, was it the 10th of August?
It was 15.
15th, yeah. It was a round number, I think. Yeah. I was not in Afghanistan, but you were. I was out of Afghanistan 2 weeks before that. I was in the 1st of August, I was in Iran. But I want to know exactly what happened because you were there. I was not. I want to hear these stories.
The night before of August 15th that Kabul fell. Taliban took over Mazar-e-Sharif, which is a city in northern Afghanistan. And
I have been there.
okay, good for you. That was a what do you say that? Commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Taliban took over Mazar-e-Sharif the night before, and we were all like, okay, it will take at least a week for the Taliban to reach Kabul. And I mean, like, it will take a week until Kabul fall. But the next day, I was in the factory with my brother. We had a factory, you can say, that we packaged dry fruits, and we would send it to our uncle in Australia. And I was there when one of my uncles, I want to say that I have 12 uncles and 5 aunts.
Oh.
Yeah, and so 2 of them lived in Kabul.
Relatively small family.
Yeah. And so he called me and said that I need you to come here, and there are some documents I want you to scan, because he's a very not very old guy, but he's middle-aged, but he's not good with computer and internet and stuff. So he called me and said that can you come here and scan some documents and like upload them to Google Drive, so that I want to get rid of the the paper
Copies.
Yeah, the copies, the papers. And I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And he said, I'm gonna come pick you up. I said, okay. And then as I like got into his car and we were going towards their home, I received a call from my dad that said, where are you? Asked me, where are you? And I said, like, I'm going to my uncle's house with him. And he said, don't, be careful. Don't be on the streets, because the Taliban is at the gates of Kabul. And that was a shock, because overnight they reached Kabul and they were ready to enter. And yeah, I said, okay, don't worry, I'm with my uncle, we're going to his home. And yeah, I went there and I scanned the documents and stuff. And one of my cousins, she's a girl, like 14, 15 years old, I'm not sure. She said that there are some documents, some files on one of the computers that was from her sister, and they didn't have a charger for it. And they wanted to transfer all those documents to a hard drive and try to get rid of that. Before the Taliban took over, everyone was thinking that Taliban is gonna do house searching and to find something to what do you say, that execute people. No,
Yeah.
is it execute?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, everyone was afraid. So I told her that let's go to our house. Maybe we did have a charger for that, because we had a couple of laptops in the past that were like not working anymore. So yeah, and as we were leaving the house, I saw some people like running in the opposite direction that we were going. So we were going towards the main street of Dasht-e-Barchi, which is in western Kabul, and it's Hazara populated area. We were going there, and people were like running in the opposite direction, and it was a strange feeling. We didn't know what's going on there, so we just continued. And as we were reaching the main road, a guy he called me and said, "Don't go that way, go this way." And I was about to ask why that we heard gunshots and like multiple rounds of AK-47. It was it was really scary, and I took my cousin's hand and we ran towards one of my other uncle's houses, and people were like, "Don't run." When like we were running, they were like, "Why are you afraid?" They're just like, they're not gonna kill you. We arrived there, and she was like in a very bad shock. She sit down on the floor for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. Yeah, we stayed there until 3 to 4 in the afternoon. And then later on, one of my other cousins, he came and said there's nothing to worry about, because like Taliban, they've not entered Kabul yet. And I said, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go home. I got out and I walked, because there was no car and stuff on the street. Every shop, everything was closed, and people were like, it was, I don't really know the word to describe it, but have you seen The Walking Dead, when like the zombies first appear and then people are running everywhere? It was like that. It really was. And I went home and we tried to like get rid of I had a guitar that my sister had given me, and I had some equipments from Afghan Beats. If you remember, there were like cameras, lights, stands and stuff, and I was really afraid to, I mean,
keep them around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we waited until night, and then we found out that, I don't want to curse, but that guy, Ashraf Ghani, had escaped from Afghanistan, and Taliban, when they saw that, they just entered Kabul. And that night, that was the night that many people went to the airport to escape, and it was around 12 o'clock. I was trying to sleep, but I just heard like gunshots, and it was Taliban celebrating with firing. That was the story.
The first day.
Yeah, that was the first day.
That was only the first day. But when did you leave Afghanistan? Which day was it?
I think it was August 19th.
4 days then. 4 days after the takeover.
And in those 4 days, I didn't even like got out of the house. I mean, the farthest distance that I went in that 4 days was like the grocery store near our house.
Near the house. Yeah. It's funny because you could be in Germany right now.
Yeah, that's
why?
another story. Yeah, I know that. I was like very upset with you when.
Why?
When you told me about that at that time, but now that I think it was probably for the best. And
hey, there are a lot of mysteries in this world that they just happen, and you don't know, you have no idea,
Yeah.
Let's share the story of how you could be in Germany, but you're in Canada, which I think it is better for you. And for me, I like being in Germany because I like to learn the language. And also, there are a lot of Afghan people, and because I'm a musician, a lot of music lovers here in Germany. I don't know. Let's talk about how you could be in Germany.
Okay, yeah. So
We did, me and Ehsan, you talked a lot, let me talk.
okay, sure.
I'm a narcissist person. Yeah, me and Ehsan did a project for some expats. Expats or people who works for some organizations in Afghanistan. We don't want to name her because probably she will go back to Afghanistan, and we don't want to blow her cover. But we did a project for her. It was some video editing stuff and translating and
Tapping.
things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. But when Taliban took over, she texted me and told me, if you're in Kabul, go to airport and I have a paper for you and Ehsan, you could go to Germany. And I said, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, it depends on the perspective. I was in Iran. I was stuck in Iran. To be honest, I don't particularly like Iran, although my mom is Iranian. But
well, that's another
story.
Yeah.
That's another story. Yeah. And I told her, I'm not in Afghanistan, but Ehsan is. And she told me that tell Ehsan to go to airport and she's gonna hook Ehsan up. And I opened WhatsApp and saw a message from Ehsan, and he was like, he sent me, you sent me a voice message like, yo bro, tonight we're gonna move to Pakistan because this is not, we cannot live here anymore. I have to delete everything from my phone, WhatsApp, Telegram, every social media, and delete every photos that I have. And probably I don't have access to anything. So I'm going to be radio silent for a few days. And I said, holy shit. And I talked to the lady and said, and told her that I think he went to Pakistan. And she said, okay. I was just worried about you guys. If you're safe, then everything is good. And the next day, you installed WhatsApp and called me, sent me another voice message and told me like,
today we're going.
Yeah, last night we couldn't go. Tonight we are gonna go, and I'm gonna delete my WhatsApp again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know we should not laugh about this, you know. It's a sad story. It's the days that we left our country and stuff like that. I don't know, but it is kind of funny. People with dark sense of humor. And to be honest, I think that is the reason that we could survive in that country, you know?
Yeah, of course.
The dark humor. We could make joke about every dark thing that you imagine.
Okay, let's not talk about that. So
yeah,
actually I don't remember that I did like delete all those applications.
Resent me?
No. We were planning for the day that Kabul fell. We planned to go like tomorrow, and we couldn't find a car to get us to the border. And even that day, the driver that we had talked with, he said that he's coming, but he didn't. Yeah, that's how we didn't leave that day. So, and I didn't uninstall my WhatsApp. That's the part. You could just give me a message, but you didn't.
I saw no point in it.
Well, you could try.
but no, you should also realize this, that when I saw that, okay, he told me this, and the situation in country was Taliban are there, you know, and I think for a few days nobody had internet connection, only people who had Wi-Fi in their house. You know, the SIM card internet was very limited. And I had so many other people in Kabul that I wanted to know about them. For example, my sister, my dad, and my grandma, my aunts, and so many other people. It was a very stressful time, and it was not like I couldn't even think about this. Okay, maybe he will reinstall his WhatsApp, or maybe he still has his WhatsApp. You know, that didn't even come to my head. But at the end, it all worked out.
Yeah.
Now I'm jealous of you living in Canada.
It has perks of it. Okay.
Yeah, but my story is a bit different to yours, because a month before Taliban came, a lady, foreigner lady we both know, she told me that she heard stuff about Taliban coming, because none of us knew that they would get the power so quickly. They would take over the whole country in just a few weeks, you know?
Well, for
It was
us,
like-
the common people, yeah, it was unexpected.
Yeah, to be honest, when I saw in news that they said like, oh my God, Taliban has 63% control over the whole Afghanistan, I'm not, in my head it was like, they already did that, you know?
But still, like taking over the capital, it was...
No, I'm talking about a few months before the takeover, right? When I saw that, I was like, they already did control the majority of Afghanistan. The government that we had, it was like they had the big cities, but you couldn't feel, me as a Hazara person, I didn't feel safe to even just go to Bamiyan, which is a city in Afghanistan, which is very beautiful, but I have never went there because I didn't feel secure enough to go there. Yeah, but for me, it was not like a big deal, you know? But when I was in Iran, 1 week before the whole takeover, it was me, like 5 other Afghan rappers, music producers. We were hanging around and everyone was having fun. We were talking, we were rapping, some of us were cooking dinner, and suddenly we collectively received messages in our phones, you know, notifications. Like, I opened my phone, oh my God, Herat has fallen. And I just immediately took my phone and called my brother-in-law and asked him, like, what's up in Kabul? Are you guys safe? And he was like, don't worry about it. And to be honest, my brother-in-law thrived much more faster in Talib era than last government, you know? And yeah, for them, it was no big deal. But I was worried for my sister, for my dad, for everyone else who was there. But others in the room that we were hanging around, everyone was like, oh my God, my mom and my dad is in Herat. Oh my God, my fiance is in Kandahar, which is another city in Afghanistan. And oh my God, I have relatives there, and everyone was worried, and everyone was talking. The whole mood changed, you know? And in the next few days that Kabul fell, is that the past form of falling? I was in my mom's house. I couldn't talk to anyone except maybe you and a few other people. Everyone told me like, don't worry about it. It's just the government changed. It's not like they're gonna do this or do that. And I was like, yeah, not right now, but what will happen in the next few months or stuff like that. I didn't know what to feel at the time. I was shocked, and I was like, yeah, it was very... And to be honest, my brain kind of refuses to remember those memories. There are memories that I can vividly remember, but those days I don't think that I'm able to remember them. I don't know if it makes sense or not.
I think that's in humans' nature. They forget their bad days.
There is this study about women that when they describe their when they are giving birth to a child, they say that that is the most pain that they have ever gone through. But after a few years, they just forget it and they say, yeah, we want another one.
Yeah.
Especially your family with 13 or 11 uncles and 5 aunts.
No, that's different.
Yeah, but I think that's the same thing. In here, just in a small parenthesis or parentheses. How is in Afghanistan we say parentheses?
Yeah. I'm sure people will understand.
Brackets. When I got in Germany, I live in social housing till I find my own place. And my roommate was a person of Pashtun origins, ethnicity. I was like, I'm not a racist, you know? I was like, I judge people on how they behave towards me. And he was constantly being racist towards my ethnicity, towards my religious background, although without knowing anything. Maybe I'm religious, maybe I'm not, you know?
Well, if you're not religious, that's even worse. But if you're religious and you're Shia, that's also not good.
That's my point, you know? For him, even assuming what I believe in, that was fucked up. But stereotyping and stuff like that, and I was like, oh my god, I want to change my place, I want to change my room, and I don't know how the government works here. I requested so many times that I want another room with another roommates, but they didn't do that. And I had 1 month, I was off for 1 month. I didn't have any school, I mean Deutsch course. What
does this mean?
Sprachschule. I'm this German language fucked me up.
Oh, language.
No, it's okay. We are doing a podcast.
We're on live television. Have you seen that kid that says, apparently I've never been on TV before?
Yeah. And he tells me that I have ADHD. So no, I have not seen that.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue.
So I had nothing to do for a month. So I could leave my city and come to my friend's house in another city. So I was there, and in a month I was like, oh, I miss my roommate. Although he was a racist piece of shit, but still he was funny. Sometimes I could laugh at him, you know.
That's messed up.
As soon as I got back to my apartment, it started again, and fortunately now I changed my room, but we got into a physical fight. I didn't attack him, he attacked me, and that's another story that in future we're gonna dedicate a episode about how we experienced racism in our country and outside of our country, maybe.
Well, that could be like thousands of episodes.
Yeah, but we're not gonna waste a lot of time here.
Okay, yeah.
So many people in Germany, they're like either towards me or friends that I have. Assad, you know Assad AMC, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to Assad, and he was telling me that there was this old German man in train, and asked him like, okay, where are you from? And he said, I am from Afghanistan. And he said, he asked our friend like, okay, yeah, when are you going back to your country? And he was like, why should I go back to my country? He said, now it's peace. Now your government changed. There is no fighting and stuff like that. Go back to your country.
This was a German guy.
I have encountered a few Nazis. They don't call it racists. Those racist people, they just call him Nazis, you know, here. I don't want to offend Germans in general, but even Germans know there are Nazis in among Germans, you know. I respect those people who are very open-minded about this immigration and stuff like that, and they know that how it benefits them. But there are a few racist people among them, not even just among Germans, even among other people. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this. The reason that we got out of Afghanistan, personally, I got a humanitarian visa because I am a musician. I am a hip hop music producer, and I am also a rapper. And I do a lot of other things that those things are not important regarding my humanitarian visa. Just my rapping, my lyrics and stuff like that was important for that. But that was the reason that I couldn't live in Afghanistan anymore. A lot of people in Afghanistan don't deserve living there. You know,
Yeah, no,
they
don't.
I'm not saying all of them deserve better life than that, because there are some piece of shit people there that I know.
There's lots of them.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Uh,
There's lots of them.
there are loads and loads of those kind of people. You know, when I was so disappointed that one of my close family relatives, he was like, "Oh, I'm so happy Taliban came," and I was like, "Why?" He said the situation was getting out of hand before that. When I went, now that I go outside of my house, I don't see any bare ankles or any woman's hair in front of them and stuff like that. And I was like,
Fuck you.
yeah, like, why does that bother you? And at that point, I realized, oh my God, some of our people are more fucked in the head than we realize it.
Yeah.
You have to see it sometimes, you know? There is this fine line between being this side of the story and this side of the story.
So as there's a lady named Sahra Karimi. She is she was the director of Afghan film, I think. And although like I don't usually agree with her ideas and the things that she says, but so on the day that Kabul fell, she recorded a video of her saying that the people are laughing and saying, "Why are you running?" And she said that they don't know how deep this tragedy
crisis.
Yeah, I think that is true. It really was a tragedy, a crisis, because all the accomplishment that people had through like 20 years, it was all gone. Yeah. And I want to say that we don't want to make this podcast very emotional and stuff, but sometimes we can't control it. It just comes, and we will try to like keep it fun, but at the same time like informative.
I'm trying to be the Chandler of this podcast. Make everything.
Yeah, I'm not very good with emotional advices, but can I offer you a joke?
Even before Taliban took over the country, me and you, our final goal was
it was getting out of Afghanistan.
Going out of Afghanistan, because our lifestyles didn't match the place that we used to live in.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't want to compromise, which we're gonna come to that a few episodes later when we are going to talk about day-to-day life in Afghanistan, like hanging out, like stuff like that. But we didn't want to compromise. And even before that, even before the Taliban took over, it was not easy for us because as we said, people in Afghanistan, they are like, do you want to say something?
Yeah. So I joked before about that why I escaped from Afghanistan and I got out of it. One of the reasons was all the activities that we had, and I really didn't feel safe with that background, like having this career in music and like YouTube and stuff, and also at the same time the activities that we had at our organization or association while I was there, and we did all kinds of stuff for like women's right, human's right. Yeah, one of the reasons was all those things, but the other reason was that even if I was safe in Afghanistan, there was no room for improvement. There was no room for development, and there was no hope for a better life that we were dreaming of. And yeah, I think that's probably the most important reason that people got out of Afghanistan, because they didn't want to live in a country that they didn't have any freedom. I mean, if you're alive and you're not free, then that life, in my opinion, it's not worth it.
I want to point at this. The reason that we got out of Afghanistan, it doesn't just come down to one reason. After making these episodes, at the end, viewers or listeners will take the whole picture. Every episode might be like a puzzle piece, and they can put it together. I cannot say that it's only one reason that we left Afghanistan. I want to talk about how, very briefly, not going into so many details, but briefly talking about how we got out of Afghanistan. I'm going to start with me, then you share your story. As I said, the lady that we know, she told me that because of your music and stuff like that, you better leave. And I was, at that time, financially, I was very effed up. So I didn't have my passport. I didn't have any money to get a visa and go to Iran or some other places. And she helped me out a lot with that stuff. And I sold a lot of my equipments, which I had. And you know how much I loved my equipments, like my everything that I had.
Yeah,
you
I
know
have
how
them here.
every time, yeah, you bought the exact same replica there, the exact same models. Yeah,
Okay.
and every time we went to buy something, you were there and you saw the excitement, right? But
Yeah.
we had to either sell them or just put them somewhere and just leave the country. I got my visa for $250.
Now, Pakistani visa, right? It's around 1,200, I think.
Right now, I'm not sure, but I got my passport for $250. It was 4 weeks before Taliban. Okay. It was July 7th, so 5 weeks before Taliban took over. And I was so mad that I spent $250 while the standard money is $50 or $60, right? At that time.
You mean for
but right now,
the visa of Iran?
No, not the passport.
Passport.
Only the passport.
Okay. Passport.
Yeah, so I was mad at that. But right now, guess how much people are trying to bribe to just get a passport these days?
I'm not sure, but it is expensive.
The last price that I heard, $3,500 US dollars. They are willing to pay for that because they have cases in European or American countries. So I got that, and I spent $750 to get a visa to Iran and the airplane tickets. So I went to Iran on 1st of August. And I was there when Taliban took over, as I said before. But in my head or in my heart, I was like, oh my God, if I was in Afghanistan, I don't know how to feel right now. Because if I was there, this lady called me and told me that I could go to Germany. Because maybe people don't understand it, but for Afghans, it's better to live in Afghanistan than Iran or Pakistan, you know? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do in Iran. The internet is very bad, always filtered. You cannot access YouTube and stuff like that. And my job was in social media. I created content on not just my own channel, but we were working, as you said, for another company. So I was not sure how to feel about that. And some of my people who I know, I don't want to give exact details about that, but I'm not going to say it on podcast. But someone who is close to me told me that, give me $2,000. I'm gonna get you a Turkish visa. You can go there. And in my head, I was calculating like, this is my income and this is the expenses there. I can manage it. Let's go there. And 10th of September, I went there, or 1st of September, I'm not sure. But when I got to Turkey by airplane, I went from Iran to Turkey. As soon as I got there, I was stopped by passport control officers, and they told me my visa is fake and I need to be deported back to the place that I came from, which was Iran. And when I got to Iran, they told me that, oh my God, you used our country as a illegal bridge to go to Turkey. And the officer looked at me and told me, you look like a nerd. Maybe these people who also got deported, maybe you made their visa, maybe you printed their visa. And they were trying to pin so many crimes on me. Maybe that's how you say it, I don't know, but people will understand that. So I was like, oh my God. And they were trying to interrogate everyone. I'm not sure about that word, but let's go with it. Interrogate everyone individually and asking them, who made your visa? Who gave you your visa? And I didn't know what to do. And the guy who gave me the visa was one of our close people that I know. I don't want to say friends or relatives or stuff like that. And I said, I knew if I told them I got it from Iran, they will not leave me alone. I told them, yeah, this visa, I took it from Afghanistan. They told me go to Iran and fly from Iran to Turkey. And they told me that I need around 2,000 US dollars, which is, at that time, it was 50 million toman for people who are familiar with that currency. They told me you need this much money to not go to prison or to not be deported directly. So fortunately, I was able to give them the bailout money, but they kept my passport as a hostage. So I was not able to leave Iran for 2 more months. And then they told me, yeah, you can back to your country, but you will not be able to come back. But my mom, because she is Iranian, she told them, she kind of begged them to not blacklist me from Iran, because she knows I'm a musician. If I go back there, it's going to be dangerous for me. So the plan was me going back to Afghanistan, because I had a exit. I was forced to exit the country. That's what I wanted to say. And the plan was for me to get another visa and come back. So I went back. I went to embassy. They interviewed me and said, yeah, you can go back. I got my visa. I spent another 800 US dollars. And as soon as I got back after 18 days, when I get back to Iran, I was stopped at the passport control again and told me that you're not allowed to enter Iran. And I need to go back to my country. And I was again deported back to Afghanistan. It was in 3 months, I was deported 3 times. Twice from Iran and once from Turkey. So when I got back, I was so depressed. The night that they kept me in Mashhad, which is a city in Iran, I had to stay there for 1 night. For the next flight back to Afghanistan. To be honest, I'm not proud to say this, but that night I cried a lot, because my whole life was flashing before my eyes. Like, oh my God, if I go back there, I have no options to go to any other countries. And at that time, I was thinking that I was deported so many times that no other country will give me another visa. And I have to leave music. I have to leave creating content on YouTube and stuff like that. But when I got back to Afghanistan, I talked to the lady that we are talking about her, and she was very helpful. She emotionally, she helped me a lot. Then I started applying for so many programs like artist protection funds. There was this lawyer in United States that I contacted, and he told me that free of charge I'm gonna get you here. I know Kanye West, and I'm gonna ask him for support, like if he posts something about you, then it's done, stuff like that. And so many other countless forms that I filled in and stuff like that. But at the end, there was this one email that I sent as a CC, not the main recipient of the email. He was the CC. I don't know what does that stands for. And every email that I got back, unfortunately, regretfully, we are sorry to say that every email that I got back, they started with that. But one email was like, right now we are in Christmas holidays. After that, I'm going to respond back to you. And that was a lawyer in Germany. And he asked me for a lot of information. What did you do? What are your songs about? Send us link to this and that. And I filled everything that they asked for. And in 4 months, I received my German humanitarian visa, maybe 4 or 5 months. They asked me to go to Pakistan to fly from there. I know there are a lot in that 4 or 5 months that I was in Afghanistan. There are so many stories that I want to share, but I think that should be we should dedicate a whole podcast to that time.
Yeah.
Not just my time in Afghanistan, in the Taliban era, living in the Taliban era.
Under the Taliban
but also
flag.
your time, but also your 1 year in Pakistan. And how did you spend that last year in Pakistan?
I think I grew up a lot in the last year and a half. For me, it was like, I missed that opportunity of going to Germany. And then
to Germany.
Yeah. The next day, me, my mother, and 2 of my younger brothers, we left home, and I said goodbye to my dad because he wanted to stay behind and provide for us, because we went to Pakistan, then we couldn't work there, and he stayed back to support. And my brother also, he had his plans, and we crossed the border of Spin Boldak illegally.
Was it crowded there?
It was like very crowded, and we got sent back to Afghanistan twice, and people are trying to pass the border, and there's all kinds of like pushing, and like there's babies crying everywhere, and there's like extreme heat. It was like so bad that day. Yeah, we tried twice, but we got sent back to Afghanistan, and the third time we crossed the border, and we arrived at the border like around 9 in the morning, maybe 8:30, some around those times, but we passed the border around 3-4 in the afternoon, and all those hours we were like under the sun trying to pass the border. Yeah, and like as soon as we crossed the last checkpoint, that was it for me. I cried. And everyone else was like running so that Pakistani police don't catch them. It was, it was an experience. And then we went to Quetta, and I lived there for 8 months, I think. And during that time, I really had no hope of getting out of there. And I was really depressed for the first 3 to 4 months. And after that, I tried to get a scholarship, and I applied for a college. And I really worked a lot on the application and stuff, but I couldn't get that one. And
are you talking about the board?
Let's not name it. I applied to Bard College, but
we both did.
I don't know. I was really optimistic about that one. I thought I had a chance, but I think the reason that I didn't got that scholarship was because of the contract that they had with American University of Afghanistan. So they accepted lots of students from there. But anyways, so after that, I was like, during that time, I mean, it was in August or September that my brother Azim, he got out of Afghanistan, and he had also his journeys. Maybe we could someday invite him to our podcast.
Yeah.
Because the Kabul airport, it was like very, very crowded, and people couldn't get into the airport. So what they did was to go to Mazar Sharif and fly from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went to Doha, I think, and then from there they went to Mexico. Their like application was processed by the Canadian Embassy and IRCC. And yeah, then they came here last year. So I mean 2021. By last year, I'm still stuck in 2022. And yeah, I was talking to him, and there was this organization, non-government organization, that they used to sponsor our high school back in Afghanistan, and that was one of the options that I had. So my brother, he introduced me to this board of people that chose who they were gonna sponsor to get them out of there, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones that I got chosen by them. And the other option was I had a P2 application kind of thing for the United States. Yeah, but that didn't work. I mean, it was ongoing that this one became like very, I got sure that this one, I got sure that this one is, I have a chance with this one, the Canadian case. So I tried to get my family with me too. I was living with my mother and two of my younger brothers there in Quetta, but I couldn't. So I left them in Quetta and I went to Islamabad, and I stayed there for almost 4 months. And oh my God, it was so hot at that time. The day that I arrived in Islamabad, it was like plus 46, 47 degrees Celsius, and shit, that was so hot. Yeah, and then we waited there, and we were a group of people, like probably 200 something around that. After that, we got here. We flew like 20, 23, 24 hours from Pakistan to Canada.
Yeah.
And it
24
feels
hours.
so strange, like how free you are. I mean, I'm 20. I'm gonna be 22 in 2 months, and sometimes that I walk in the streets, I do things that like children doesn't do here, because we feel free and we kind of like we enjoy expressing our feelings, you know, like singing loud.
Yeah.
Some people might think that we're like one of these homeless guys that is on drugs, but we're not. We're just enjoying the freedom.
Today I was thinking that how me and you became friends, you know, because first of all, you, as you said, you're almost 22 and I'm 27. And the only thing that came to my mind, I was like, you're way too mature for your age, and I'm way too immature for my age.
And that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. But I was so happy for you when I got the news that you got to Canada, and I was to this day I'm jealous. You know,
you should
because I am. But there is reason for everything that happens, I believe. At least I have to believe in it. But for listeners and for viewers, I apologize on behalf of us both. First of all, our accents and our language, and second of all, our storytelling. It will be better in next episodes.
Yeah,
I hope so. And in next episodes, it's gonna be a lot more fun. This episode,
maybe.
Although we try to make it a bit fun, but the topic is very sad. So yeah.
It is.
Because of that, we couldn't. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Funny thing is, you remember that episode of How I Met Your Mother that they talked about overcorrection?
Overcorrection?
When Barney Stinson tried to date someone who is a loving person, but a little bit on the, I don't want to say Here's the thing: in Afghanistan and in Germany, we don't have PCR, political correcting or correctness. I don't know, but yeah, I think in Canada and in United States there are some words that are so that people are offended by them. You overcorrected, like going from somewhere this much freedom and this much warmth. I mean, hot weather to somewhere with a lot of freedom and
Cold weather.
cold.
Oh yeah.
Cold.
So, right now I'm living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Actually, you know, people say that this winter it was the hottest it has been.
Warmer.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
not hottest, but I mean, last winters it was much colder, but still.
Yeah.
I think in December we experienced minus 35 with the wind chill of like up to minus 50, and that was really cold, but I liked it. I like cold weather more than hot weather. Yep.
I just like 14. Maybe if every day was 18 degrees, I would be happy.
18.
Yeah.
You're so boring, brother. You are so
I
boring,
know.
brother.
I know.
For me, you know.
There was. Sorry to cut you,
No
but
worries.
I will forget this. It was 2 days ago. I was trying to go to supermarket and buy stuff for maybe breakfast. I don't remember, but it was minus 5 degrees in my city. So when I was going and coming back, it's 20 minutes walk. You know, it's far, and I'm living in the middle of nowhere. In my head, I was remembering the movie Dumb and Dumber, when they are
Haven't seen
going to a cold place and their mucus is like this, and it's and it has freezed, and I was feeling like that because it was, for me, minus 5 degrees feels like that.
You're so
And
noob.
you're talking about minus 50 degrees.
Yeah, a few days ago it was minus 5, and I was walking with like slippers, yeah, and just a jacket.
In minus 5 degrees.
Yeah, I went outside to get something, and yeah, I walked.
Crazy,
to work.
my brother.
I mean, my workplace is very close, but still. I mean, yesterday we experienced like plus 4 degrees, and everyone was very happy. They were like in shock. How come we experienced this weather in winter?
Yeah. I want to read your comments for the viewers or the listeners.
Yeah.
I am very excited to read your comments and give us feedback, because I don't watch a lot of or listen to a lot of podcasts in this genre.
Bro, I forgot
and
to
I don't know how
wear my glasses. I look way cuter with this. Let's
I
take
have no idea.
Let's take the
Ladies
podcast
in the comment,
from the start.
Ladies in the comment, just comment on. Please don't lift his ego too much.
Yeah, this was the first episode of Rootless. Yeah, Ali apologized for all the mistakes and everything, so I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, we'll try to get better by each day. So, yeah, and I would love to see your comments regarding this podcast, because I myself, I'm very excited for this, and I think that if we do it right,
I want you guys to be a bit prepared for. We are not politicians. We are not like these philosophers or stuff like that. We are just two normal guys who are trying to share their stories and their experiences we are two normal dudes, you know?
yeah.
But in future, after our stories are getting boring, we will. I think we should invite guests, either people from Afghanistan or maybe people who lived in Afghanistan for a few months or years and see their experiences. And I think it would be great. So let's say goodbye. It's getting too much, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. And please leave your comments, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Next episode. Let's say next episode.
Whatever. And we'll try to come with a plan, with an agenda next time. But
yeah,
when we were freestyling, it's just have this benefit that we can cover lots of the stories that we have. But if we are going like according to agenda, then there are lots of things that we will not be sharing. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And if you're Afghan listening to us, please leave a comment regarding
what you think,
subject that we talked today.
And if you want to be a guest, please.
Yeah.
Not now.
We
have a lot to talk about right now ourselves, but in the future maybe. Yeah,
we are bad at closing the podcast, bro.
Yeah, we
see you next episode.
Yeah. Okay. If you like this, give a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. If you found it interesting, then share it to your friends, please.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm turning off my camera.
Peace.